Well, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna take my life back.
What, you're gonna kill him?
Why not? He's not real. Plus, there's no law against it.
You're not serious, are you?
I'm dead serious.
Arnold Schwarzenegger goes back to the future to battle a cloning conspiracy in the 6th day. One of 5 new movies we'll be reviewing on this week's program. I'm Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Richard Roeper, columnist for the Chicago Sun-Times. The 6th Day is one of those science fiction thrillers that quotes from the Bible and warns us about tampering with the natural order of things, yet it never really takes itself too seriously. The action takes place in the near future, where cloning of humans is illegal, but the replication of pets and spare parts for people is a thriving industry. Arnold Schwarzenegger is Adam Gibson, a good guy helicopter pilot who is contemplating whether he should order a clone of his daughter's dead dog.
Cloned pets are every bit as safe as real pets. Plus, they're insured.
Look, I don't care about the insurance. I care about if I can trust my daughter with a large animal with sharp teeth.
You can make them smaller if you want, with softer teeth.
Adam's misgivings about pet cloning are nothing compared to the shock he experiences when he comes home that night.
There's someone in my house eating my birthday cake with my family, and it's not me.
We know. There's been a 6th day violation. A human was cloned. That human was you.
That's Sarah Winter and Terry Crews, who aren't exactly what they seem to be, but you can't get rid of these villains by killing them because their boss will simply clone them back to life. Winter is a standout here, and the splendid supporting cast also includes Tony Goldwyn as a clone-obsessed billionaire and Robert Duvall as a doctor with a very personal investment in this exciting but quite frightening technology. The plot of The 6th Day has so many folds and twists that the characters occasionally have to stop shooting just so they can talk it out, mainly for our benefit, but it rarely gets bogged down in too much deep science when a good old-fashioned laser gun shootout will suffice. This is a slam-bang comeback vehicle for Arnold, the kind of movie that requires you to put on your seatbelt and sometimes your thinking cap.
Yeah, I liked it too. I mean, it's not a great Arnold Schwarzenegger movie like Total Recall or Terminator 2, but it's a good Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and it has some interesting, intriguing ideas involving various versions or addition numbers of some of the characters in the cast, and who is exactly the real person and who is not. And at the same time, you're right, good special effects, interesting shootouts, even though we've seen them before, but nevertheless, I got intrigued, and there was enough of a plot that it wasn't just a chase and a shootout at the end.
And Arnold's such a huge presence in all ways on screen that you have to have good supporting performances around him, and in this movie you really do.
He has a certain credibility in this movie. He's kind of an ordinary helicopter pilot. He's not some superhero, and he just kind of doggedly tries to get through this weird situation that he's in.
But it's good to know that even in the future, if you go like this, the bullets will miss you.
Our next movie is named You Can Count on Me, and it's one of the best movies I've seen this year. It's about a difficult relationship between a sister and her irresponsible brother, and it has wonderful performances from Laura Linney as a bank officer in a small New York town, Mark Ruffalo as her easy-come, easy-go brother, and Rory Culkin as her son. The kid begins to like his uncle, but his mom doesn't know if she can trust him.
Who are you talking about?
Some wild kids we used to know.
Were you a wild kid?
Not as wild as your mom.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you don't believe me?
No.
Ask her.
Mom, were you?
No comment.
The mom has an affair with her married boss and turns for advice to the local priest, played by Kenneth Lonergan, who wrote and directed this movie.
Well, it's a sin.
Good. I think it should be.
But we try not to focus on that aspect of it too much right off the bat.
Matthew Broderick wants to be her lover after hours and a hard-boiled boss in the office, but she doesn't respect him in either role.
You're the worst manager we've ever had.
Oh, come on,
I mean, by far, the worst.
I don't want to trade insults with you.
I don't want to be fired, Brian. I've been working here for 7 years.
Well...
and if I were you, I'd be a little nervous about firing an employee I just had an affair with, okay?
It's not often you see an intelligent film about a brother and a sister, and rarer still, a film that knows so much about families and why they work and why they don't. The movie sidesteps all sorts of obvious scenes and cuts straight to the heart of this woman's dilemma as she tries to decide whether to marry a local guy and whether her brother is good or bad for her son. Scene after scene plays with perfect timing and observation and tact. I love the way Mark Ruffalo's brother learns as he goes along. You feel like you know these people. You Can Count on Me is a very special film.
It is, and not only does Lonergan do a great job in writing these characters and situations, in directing the actors, he's really good as that priest who's kind of a pragmatic guy. If more priests were like that, I think more people would be talking to priests in real life. And this brother's a screw-up. He's probably always going to be a screw-up, but there's some charm into him. Each character here, there's a little bit more. You mentioned the young Culkin kid. He's so good and so believable. It's not one of those showy acting jobs. Laura Linney, probably the best performance in the film. And you mentioned, you know, the brother and the sister, the relationship. They're bound together by a tragedy that happens when they're kids. She loves him, but she doesn't have any illusions about what his life is like and what his personality is like.
And what's interesting is the way the brother becomes a better person through the experience of trying to be an uncle to this kid. Now, he does some things that are kind of goofy, like taking him to a pool hall late at night and so forth. But at the same time, by trying to be nice to him and realizing that you can't stand up the kid. If you give your word to the kid, you have to follow through on it.
Right.
He learns things about himself.
It's one thing to disappoint your sister. Don't break an 8-year-old's heart, as she says.
It's really a good movie, isn't it?
Yes, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
Coming up later in the show, we've got Adam Sandler having a devil of a time in Little Nicky.
Release your evil.
And coming up next, Cuba Gooding Jr. and Robert De Niro star in a true life story, Men of Honor.
My name is Master Chief Billy Sunday, and I am God. Who wants to save me the sweat of training your sorry ass? You? You? Cookie?
Robert De Niro is a nasty and racist Master Chief, and Cuba Gooding Jr. is a sailor who dreams of becoming the Navy's first African-American diver in Men of Honor, the true story of a little-known hero named Carl Brashear. Director George Tillman's follow-up to the small gem Soul Food is a big, brassy, unapologetically sentimental military melodrama with the feel of an old-time Technicolor epic. De Niro chews up the screen as Billy Sunday, who butts heads with Brashear even when they're not on the base.
You made a big mistake walking in here, Cookie.
Oh, it's my fault.
It's all your fault. Spoiled little rich girl gets her kicks dragging stray men in here. Thinks we're just a bunch of sweaty rednecks she can shake up for the fun of it. How about me, Cookie? You better than me?
You're damn right I am.
Well, let's just see.
That's Charlize Theron as Billy's sad but loyal wife. Sunday has a grudging respect for Carl's abilities, but he's been ordered by the CO to do anything to keep a black man from becoming a full-fledged diver.
Hey! What did he say to you to make you try so hard? Be the best. Well, you are. Just don't show up tomorrow. Pappy ain't gonna let you pass.
Years later, both men have been crippled. Carl by a freak accident, Billy by alcoholism.
Oh my God! Get away! Get away! Cookie. Looks like I missed one hell of a party.
Carl Brashear faces one soul-draining struggle after another. The fight to break down racial barriers, the dangerous rescue missions, the possibility of losing his wife to his passion for diving, and finally his pursuit of the seemingly preposterous goal of full reinstatement as a diver even though he's missing a leg. Gooding is all steely resolve and gutsy determination as Brashear, and De Niro returns to an edgy form in probably his best role in years. Men of Honor stacks all the sentimental cards and could even be accused of outright corniness, but when the subject matter is this inspiring, it should play to our emotions. This story deserves that kind of treatment.
I like this movie a whole lot, too. And you're right, it's kind of like an old-fashioned biopic, you know, a movie that would have been made years ago before cynicism and irony set in, because this is about a guy who single-handedly integrates the Navy Divers Corps, and then, after having jumped over every hurdle that they placed in his way, comes back and does it all again with one leg, and he's a real man, and he's played by Cuba Gooding Jr. in a very moving performance. And De Niro, you're right, he goes through an arc in this movie. He's a bad guy at the beginning, he's not so bad at the end. And the relationship between these two men is tested in the forge of their mutual respect for diving. It's a really fascinating movie.
Yeah, it's sort of the way cops bond across racial barriers. It's like, you know what, forget about that, it's all about the diving. And yeah, De Niro's character does grow, but he doesn't become just a perfect guy.
No, he doesn't.
Still has a lot of problems, and this is a movie of its time, the 40s through the 60s.
Coming up next, Adam Sandler is the son of Satan in Little Nicky.
So I think the time has come to discuss who will succeed.
This was a very difficult decision because I have 3 wonderful sons. I mean, Adrian, so smart, so ruthless.
Where's makeup?
Harvey Keitel plays Satan. They're nearing retirement and talking to his 3 sons in Little Nicky, the new Adam Sandler comedy. 2 of the sons, played by Tiny Lister and Reese Evans, zoom up to Earth, sealing the fiery gates behind them, and with no new souls to feed upon, the devil starts to fall apart piece by piece. So his 3rd son, played by Sandler, goes up after his brothers to set things straight. Soon he has a roommate with a record collection.
Chicago.
I love this song.
I command you in the name of Lucifer to spread the blood of the innocent.
Oh my God, Chicago is awesome!
Sandler has a speech impediment and a twisted face, and he explains that that's because one of his brothers hit him with a shovel. He does tricks to amuse his new friends.
All right, last time.
Here we go! Here we go!
Faithful viewers of this show will know that I am not a big fan of Adam Sandler comedies, but this one comes pretty close to getting a thumbs up. Not quite, but pretty close. Sandler himself wears out his welcome with his Richard III routine, but the supporting cast is often very funny. Not only Keitel, but his other 2 sons, plus Patricia Arquette as Sandler's girlfriend, Rodney Dangerfield as his grandfather, Ozzy Osbourne as himself, and Robert Smigel as the voice of a talking bulldog. Let's put it this way. Little Nicky is the best Adam Sandler movie so far, but why does he test our patience with his almost unbearable verbal and physical shtick?
I can't believe you're invoking Richard III in discussing an Adam Sandler movie. I don't think he knows what he's doing. Adam Sandler does. You know what? That's funnier than anything Adam Sandler did in this movie. I think this is a terrible piece of junk. I think even in the not too impressive canon of Adam Sandler comedies, this may be the worst one. I hardly got any laughs out of this.
Okay.
This thing he does with the voice, it's like Sandler, he must know somewhere deep down that he's not capable of carrying these comedies, even though a lot of people seem to find him funny. Harvey Keitel looks like he's embarrassed to be there. What are they doing up on Earth? I don't know why they're there. Why is there a talking dog? What's funny about that? He goes to the same old things he always goes to. People falling down, urination jokes. It's got a crummy look to it, this movie. A real cheap, chintzy cable access
guess
look.
you didn't like it. But I do feel
that
in a movie like this, one question you cannot ask is, why is there a talking dog? Because I believe that there either is a talking dog or there isn't a talking dog. In a movie like this, logic has nothing to do with it. And I did...
Well, the talking dog could be funny then.
Well,
regardless of why he's there, he can be funny and he's not funny.
But I just got to tell you, every time Sandler makes a movie, he does something with his voice that gets on my nerves. He does an endless repertory of different things he does, and they all get on my nerves.
Well, it's a tiny repertory, but they're all very annoying. Okay, our next movie, quite a different movie, is Wonder Boys, which played to lukewarm business in February, but is now returning to theaters, and I can only dream of a stampede on the box office this time. Michael Douglas is rumpled and brilliant as Grady Tripp, a middle-aged English professor with one good novel fading in his life's rearview mirror as a tangled mess of personal and professional woes now await him at every turn. His wife has left him, his 2,600-page second book is still unfinished, and he's having a very complicated affair with Frances McDormand, the college chancellor who's married to Douglas's department chairman.
I'm pregnant. I'm sure.
Well, that's very surprising.
Grady's once cozy campus life suffers even more upheaval with the arrival of his manic, manuscript-starved editor, played by Robert Downey Jr.
So, how's the book?
It's fine. It's done. Well, basically, I got a little tinkering I still got to do.
Great. Great. I was hoping I could get a look at it sometime over the weekend. Do you think that'd be possible?
It's a little tough. Yeah, I'm at a critical juncture right now, and...
Well, I thought you were just tinkering.
Yet even a professor who's a total mess is thought of as a mentor by some students, including one of the most talented students he has, James, who's played by Tobey Maguire.
Don't expect me to feel sorry for you, all right? Because I don't know who you are. Let me ask you something, James. In the past 36 hours, have you told me one thing that's true? One thing that comes from you?
I just wanted to stay with you for a little while. That's all.
Life in a college town has its own unique rhythm and hierarchy, and it's perfectly captured here, with its eccentric characters trading rich dialogue while coping with tragicomic developments. Wonder Boys is not unlike As Good as It Gets in terms of endearment, but I think it's even more assured than those beloved hits. Steve Kloves has fashioned a brilliant adaptation of Michael Chavin's novel, and Curtis Hanson does a superb job directing the finest ensemble cast of the year. If you tell me you haven't seen a great American film this year, I'm betting you haven't seen Wonder Boys.
You know, it was really strange how this movie didn't somehow capture anyone's attention when it came out last February, even though it got great reviews. This is one of the great movies of the year. This is a candidate for nomination for Oscars, for sure. Not only for the movie, but also for the cast.
Yeah.
This is the kind of movie we're hungry for, we're starving for. It's about people we can get involved with. They're intelligent, they're involved in situations that are fascinating. It's a performance by Michael Douglas that is just about, I think, the best work he's ever done. The supporting cast, including people like Frances McDormand and Tobey Maguire, wonderful. The conversations in the backyard between the professor and the student at that party, the problems they get into with the dog who belongs to the department head, on and on and on. It's just a good movie.
It's very funny, it's very moving, and there's a lot of strange things going on here, and in the wrong hands it could have gone all wrong, but instead, in this movie, it goes all right in terms of how well they execute it.
So the studio has given people a second chance.
So go see it this time.
Get organized. Okay, when we come back, my video pick of the week is an animated science fiction adventure that got lost in space.
Ebert and Roeper in the Movies Video Pick of the Week is brought to you by Nestle Raisinets. At the movies or at home, Raisinets.
My video pick this week is kind of like Wonder Boys. It just didn't perform well at the box office. It opened last June and grossed only about $23 million, which is bad news for a movie that cost $75 million. It was named Titan A.E., and I thought it was a terrific animated thriller set in a future after Earth has been destroyed by evil aliens. The hero, with his voice by Matt Damon, is a colony bum working in a space dump.
Hey, it's me, it's Kale, all right? I'm not with those losers.
Humans. Wait.
Up in here. You wait in line, pal. I'm taking the express.
Go through the ducts, you'll get yourself killed!
Coward, you know, the odds of a ship docking are 1,000 to 1. And that would be the one.
In a flashback, we see that his father has saved precious human memories on a Titan spaceship. The hero has a clue to the Titan's hiding place inside a gigantic cluster of intergalactic ice crystals, and I really love this scene.
Kale, he's right behind us.
We've got to lose him.
The cat and mouse chase inside those ice rings is a genuinely original and inventive sequence, and Titan A.E. is terrifically entertaining, an old-fashioned slam-bam space opera. It was directed by Don Bluth and Gary Goldman, animation veteran, trying to break the hammerlock of cute animals and children's stories and make an action animated film like the Japanese do. But Titan A.E. never found an audience. Now it's on tapes and DVD, and it's my video pick of the week.
Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this week's show. 2 thumbs up for The Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger in an engaging sci-fi thriller. It opens next week. 2 very enthusiastic thumbs up for You Can Count on Me, a touching slice of life with a great performance by Laura Linney. 2 more thumbs up for Men of Honor. It's an inspirational biography of a real American hero. 2 thumbs down, though, for Adam Sandler's Little Nicky, though Roger did like it a little more than I did. And finally, 2 very big thumbs up for Wonder Boys. One of the year's best films returns to theaters this week. I still say Little Nicky was astonishingly awful, even for Adam Sandler.
I thought it was astonishingly better than some of his movies. And if you want to just not fool around, you just want to see a couple of great films, go to You Can Count on Me and Wonder Boys, and just, you know, you'll have a great week at the movies.
Absolutely.
Remember, you can hear our reviews on Ebert-Roeper-movies.com and read his imprint at suntimes.com. Next week, more new movies, including Jim Carrey as that old meanie, the Grinch.
You're a reindeer. Here's your motivation. Your name is Rudolph. You're a freak with a red nose, and nobody likes you. Then one day, Santa puts you, and you say Christmas.
And also Bounce, a romantic comedy starring Ben Affleck and Gwyneth Paltrow. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.